Fellow explorers, the concept of resort bubbles has been brewing for quite a while during the current pandemic, but it's now officially real. The Hawaiian island of Kauai launched this week their Enhanced Movement Quarantine Program, which makes resort bubbles a reality. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Kauai's new resort bubble program, but first, a little bit of background. So let me just introduce myself in case you're new here. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining. This video is part of my series on Hawaii. You'll find a whole bunch more Hawaiian videos in the links in the description below or at the end of this video. So now on to the background. A few months ago, to limit the spread of COVID-19, the Hawaiian Islands decided to enforce quarantines on incoming travelers. When it first started, they were 14 days. Now the quarantine is 10 days. The state of Hawaii, in order to reboot tourism, introduced this Safe Travels program where people could essentially take a COVID-19 test, get a negative test, and test out of quarantine. Well, Kauai opted out of this program, so travelers to Kauai have still had to quarantine currently for 10 days upon arrival in the islands. Well, effective this week, the island of Kauai is giving travelers two new options as part of this new program that I'm going to share with you today. The first new option is the resort bubble. So the island of Kauai is allowing visitors to come to the island and stay in one of currently 6 resort bubble hotels. I'll put the full list on the screen here, but the Hilton Garden Inn and the Marriott are 2 of these 6, and travelers can stay one of these 6 hotels, and during their first 3 days on the island, they'll have to quarantine themselves within the resort bubble, meaning that they can go to their room, they can go to the pool, they can go anywhere on the resort grounds, they just can't leave the resort grounds. Then at the end of 72 hours of being in that hotel, they can get a COVID-19 test on premise at the resort. Assuming they get a negative test at the resort, then the resort staff will enter that information into the Kauai COVID-19 database, which will release the traveler from quarantine. So this is a way to say, hey, if you're coming to Kauai, you don't have to spend 10 days just holed up in your room, but you can start to enjoy at least a part of the island, which is one of the resorts. Now, in addition to this COVID-19 test after 3 days, you still have to take a COVID-19 test 3 days before you fly to Kauai. It does not have to be one of the testing providers that's on the state program, because Kauai is doing this separately. They are accepting any COVID-19 type of test that's approved by the FDA, not just one of the state's approved labs. So that makes it a little easier for your pre-departure test. Now, a couple things I should point out is that the price of those COVID-19 tests, that is all on the traveler. Also, you'll have to wear a monitoring bracelet if you go, and you have to pay for the monitoring bracelet. It's somewhere between $80 to $100. It depends on which hotel you're staying at. The monitoring bracelets are sold by the hotels. And when you're going to the hotel from the airport, you will not be able to take a rental car. You will have to either take a taxi, Uber, or hotel-provided transportation, so you go direct to the hotel. If you want to rent a rental car when you're on the island, you can, but you have to do it once you've tested out of quarantine and you are out of the resort bubble. Now, the Enhanced Movement Quarantine Program outlines a second option for travelers who want to visit Kauai. This is for people who want to visit Kauai as part of a multi-island journey. So let's say first you want to go to another island like Oahu and Maui and then go to Kauai. Well, what they're allowing people to do is go to one of those sister islands. After being on the sister island for 3 days, at least 72 hours, then travelers can take a COVID-19 test on one of those islands, and assuming that they get a negative COVID-19 result on that, then they can travel to Kauai within 72 hours of that test. So if you do it that way, then you don't have to quarantine in a resort. You can essentially quarantine on one of the other islands and then take your test there and then go to Kauai. So who's for what? What's the better one? I mean, if you really have your sights set on Kauai and you don't mind hanging out in a resort for 3 days, wearing a monitoring bracelet, then go for it, because at least that secondary COVID-19 test is at the hotel, which I think is kind of nice. But if you don't just want to hang out at a hotel for 3 days, well, then you might be interested in the other option, which is to go hang out on another island, explore that island, and then head over and make your way to Kauai. Well, if you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy some of my other videos on Hawaii. You'll find links on the screen or in the description below. As usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you all in the next video.